Hello, welcome. As per usual, I'm in a really busy space. Well, not in a busy space, but I'm in a space that could potentially be busy. We are in the office of where we're currently staying. So welcome to the live. If you're here live, welcome. Make sure you drop into the comments and say hello. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to chat. Within these spaces. I think this is my third ever live video, so the shaking's still there a little bit. But that's okay. I'm feeling a lot calmer today. I think on my last lives I've been like just like and today we're just feeling a lot calmer, a lot more grounded. And the reason that I wanted to come on is because I've come off of my Tantra 11-day immersion, which is all about the divine feminine, and I've been doing a lot of reflection on how this is intertwined with my emotional energy work, but also my life journey. You know, how has my divine feminine showed up throughout my entire life journey? And I really wanted to share more with all of you on that, all of you ladies, because most people in my audience are female now, which is so cool, but men are also welcome too, because we all need to learn this information. It's so important for everyone to learn about their emotions, about the divine masculine and feminine, so that we can all support each other. So I wanted to share more with you around what I had learned in the divine feminine. What is it? What is it not? My story on femininity. So what have been some of the key points where personally I've been far too far into my unhealthy masculine for most of my life. And I also wanted to share some things that you powerful, beautiful listener. It's like I'm on TV, but I'm not on TV. I'm on an Instagram live. But things that you can implement within your everyday life to be more in balance within your divine masculine and your divine feminine. And then at the end, we'll have a little bit of an announcement that's come off the back of all of this. So I would love it if you're joining, if you're watching the replay. What do you think the divine feminine is? If you could just share maybe in one word in the comments, I would love to hear what you think of when I say the words divine feminine. Like what actually comes to your mind? Because I feel like for everyone, something slightly different is going to come up. Hopefully you can still hear me. It's quite noisy, but the show must go on. So let's start with 3 things that the divine feminine is not. So sexuality. So when people think of Tantra, when people think of the divine feminine, a lot of people's minds may jump to being sexual, you know, being open sexually and being really in their sexual power. This is 100% an element of the divine feminine, but it's not about indulging in it. It's not about sexuality. Like, that is not what the divine feminine is. It's also not about being a man or a woman, as I've touched on earlier. So yes, we've all got different things in between our legs. However, we also all carry the divine masculine and the divine feminine within us. It is an inner union, and we'll talk a little bit later around how those play together and how those intertwine. But it's not necessarily about whether you are a man or whether you are a woman. This is something that we all need to balance within us. And then the third thing that the divine feminine is not, it's not about the way you dress. So even myself, like before I went on this immersion, I was like, right, I'm going to be feminine. I'm going to wear makeup and be in my flowy dresses. But it's not about love and light. Like, that is not what the divine feminine is. The divine feminine, she can be wild, she can be creative, and she can be free and fierce and powerful. She is not about love and light and being happy and airy fairy all of the time. And this really relates to my work. It aligns with my teachings so much, because I'm all about embracing what you or what I may perceive as negative. I'm not all about let's be happy and gratitude all of the time. Let's be in acceptance. Let's learn how to be in all of these different states. So I've related a lot to the divine feminine. So like I mentioned, I did a 10-day Tantra immersion course, Shakta Tantra. This is the lens in which I learned about the divine feminine, and obviously, I've done this in India, so it's been at source. It's been incredibly amazing. And what is it? Like, what actually is Shakta Tantra? What is the divine feminine? And it's really an ancient wisdom. It's thousands and thousands of years old. It predates Christ, and it's a collection of philosophies and rituals. So over the years, it's been a developing science. So we have all of these gurus, and they download all of this wisdom from the universe, and it has been brought together so beautifully in the practice of Shakta Tantra, which is, like I say, philosophies, ways to live our lives, and rituals to really implement them, to make this more of an energetical thing that we can implement practically in our life. So some of the things that we can learn from the divine feminine, it's how to operate from wholeness. You know, not thinking that you are anything less than whole, because you are. Like, you are so whole, but that is part of the collective. Like, we are all whole. And it's about seeing the divine in everything. So the example was given at one point, if someone breaks their leg, we may fall into victimhood or see this as a bad thing, but in reality, if we break our leg, how can we see the divine lesson here? What are the higher forces at play? Quite often, if something that we perceive as bad happens to us, it's actually redirecting us and teaching us fundamental lessons that we need to learn in life. The divine tantra, divine feminine, it's also about harnessing all elements of ourselves. So like I mentioned earlier, our wild side, our playful side. I have never shamelessly danced so much as I have done during these 11 days. And just completely out there, like fully me, because I had the space to do it. I had the space to explore that energy. And it's all about raising our vibration, connecting to source, connecting to consciousness. And again, this relates to everything I teach. So the divine feminine just really intertwines so much. So that's a little bit of background, the lens in which I've learnt the divine feminine, and also, how we can look at it in our daily lives. So when I've been reflecting on this and looking at it in my daily life, I actually come back to this one particular moment where Mark and I were in Peru, and we were in an airport, and we were both trying to organise, and we were both trying to work out which way to go and which gate to go to. And maybe you've been in an airport with your partner, and it can be a slightly stressful situation when you are both trying to lead. And the only way I could explain it is, it's sort of like we were a cartoon, and we were both running, and then we crashed into each other, and then we fell backwards, and we had the birds flying around our heads. That is the moment that I knew that I needed to stop being in my masculine constantly, stop trying to control the situation, stop trying to lead everything. Like, this is how I've been operating my whole life. And maybe you might relate to this. So again, if you have joined, I'd recommend to drop in the comments, when have you felt like you have constantly had to be the leader, constantly had to control? And when I reflected on that moment and the shift and the transformation that happened for me, I was really thinking about what led me here. And when we do that, we need to go back to the beginning, right? So just to set the scene, this is not a space of blame or anything like that. But my beautiful mum was a single mum of 4. She was a primary caregiver. So naturally, having to do all of this organisation, having to do all of this leadership, the to-do list, having to create that space for safety for your children, there's an element of survival there. And she had to make all the rules, and I'm not saying that there was an issue, but I'm just trying to paint the picture of what the setup was. Naturally coming into this earth, into that more feminine space, masculine space. And then we also went through a lot of trauma as a family. And I know in that moment I became very hyper independent. I became very guarded and walled, and had to make sure that I didn't talk about emotions. I bottled it all up. I shoved it all down. I got on and I achieved, and I just went through my to-do list. So yeah, my beautiful mum was a single mum. We went through a lot of trauma as a family. So this was starting to shape me being in my more masculine path. I then got to my teenage years. I moved out not very young, but relatively young compared to maybe a lot of people at the moment. And again, there's no right or wrong, but I had to go into this survival. I was very career obsessed. I would work relentlessly, like crazy hour days, and my self-worth and my intrinsic value was very much placed on how much I achieved. I was also in a 5-year relationship when I was younger, and when I reflect back on that, I had very dominating energy. I was very much had these huge dreams of traveling the world and going to India, and it's amazing that I'm doing that today, but I wasn't emotionally switched on enough at that time to navigate those masculine and feminine elements of that relationship, because I was so far in my masculine, I was so far in controlling, there was zero space for surrender. Then on top of that, I worked in finance for 10 years. This is the most heavily masculine dominated place. And I remember when I started, I taught myself not to feel emotions, to get my head down, to get on with it. Like I said, I was very career obsessed, and I had this narrative of, well, if I'm not always in my to-do list, if I'm not always planning, achieving, what is my value? What am I doing here? What is the point? And these were all of the stories that were totally subconsciously running in my head. I think the other thing is there was a lot of amazing female role models, which I had in finance, and I still to this day have so much respect for them, and I still admire them. But I do see that there wasn't as much space for feminine creative flow there, because they were in this environment. And again, that was my role models at the time, and that's what I followed. I also remember at one point within my career, there were a few jokes made about me using my looks to further my career. If only they could see me now, all sweaty and red with my veins popping out my head because it's 34 degrees in India. But yeah, there were jokes made about me using my looks to climb the corporate ladder. So I know, again, my inner woman, my feminine, was just shoved so far down during this time. And I remember speaking to my boss about it, and he was really supportive and, really helped me through that. And it wasn't that it was a traumatic time or that I was done anything wrong. I think it was just very much the way society's built and the environment that I was in. And again, like you maybe relate to this. You maybe relate to this survival, to the always having to be doing, to letting or subconsciously having your inner feminine shrink. Because I, again, subconscious believe that if my inner woman, my sensuality, my flow, my creativity shrank, then I would be taken more seriously. So yeah, there's a lot there. There's a lot to the But to be completely frank, I also had a little bit of sexual trauma. I think 1 in 3 women do, which is just crazy, like absolutely crazy numbers. And I wouldn't feel right if I didn't mention that, but I don't feel in a space to go into great detail. But I also remember from those experiences making a decision to just shut everything off, essentially, to just be like, no, I'm not doing this. I am achieving, and I'm shutting this all off. So that's a little bit about the journey. And then we get back to space. Let's bring you back here to when I was in that airport with Mark. And when I look at the journey, when I look at all of this survival, this doing, this action, this unhealthy masculine that I was living in, it makes so much sense why it wasn't working. It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense why both of us were trying to be the leader within that situation. And it wasn't just then, of course. It was a pattern that played throughout my whole life. And the issue was that I was so hyper-focused in being the leader, not losing control. And I wasn't leaving any space for him to lead. And again, this might come up in your relationship. You might relate to this, so I have to share it. But if anyone knows Mark, he is a beautiful, masculine, hairy man who is an amazing leader, and he has been in the military. He's done some incredible things in his life. He is a natural born leader. And where I was taking up so much space with my masculine, trying to dominate every situation energetically, it wasn't something that was spoken about that we could see, but energetically I was very much trying or attempting to dominate the space, always trying to control, always trying to organize, and I wasn't leaving any space for me to flow, which means that there isn't space for things to come in. This is the feminine, the flow, the intuition, the creativity. There was no space for that because I was so busy trying to control. And even on a personal level, this had a really big impact on my business because I was trying to create this rigid container of how things should go, seeing them flop and not being able to flow within all areas of life. So yeah, I think it's really important to share our story, to share how the not the divine masculine, the unhealthy masculine has shown up for me. So that's a little bit about my story, but what can you do? Hopefully you can still hear me. Please shout if you can't. But what can you do? What can you do if you have related to any parts of my story? And if you don't feel connected with your femininity. So literally the first thing that you can do is recognize who is running the show. Meeting all of those different parts of you, meeting your inner man, meeting your inner woman, allowing them to work as a team. Because your inner man and inner woman, you need both of them. And I'll go into what I mean by this, but they need to work together. They need to work in harmony. So the divine feminine isn't about being happy and floaty and flowy all of the time. No, it's about really meeting both sides of us inside and letting them harmonize together, letting them flow together, letting them work together. They need one another. And again, this isn't about being a man or a woman. It's about the fact that we both have these energies inside of us. So one good way of explaining it is your masculine is like a pipe, that is a container, and your feminine is the flowy water that can flow through it. That's the easiest way to think of how the divine feminine and the divine masculine can work together in unity. You create the pipe and you have the feminine water flowing through. So let's meet your inner man. You need him. You need your inner masculine. You need your inner man. And what does he look like? So we've touched on it quite a bit. It's when he's in his healthy space, he is about the organization, the to-do lists, the leadership, the confidence. He creates a space to hold your feminine. It's a little bit like if you were to build a house, right? Your inner man needs to create the foundations. He needs to have the building bricks. He needs to have the discipline to create that, to plan the structure and how is it going to work and what's the step-by-step and all of that organization. Because if we're just in our feminine, we're just flowing all over the place, right? We don't have that structure to actually have that wholeness inside. So Without the organisation of your inner man, your inner woman cannot thrive. But the bit that you may relate to with your inner man, if he is running the show, right? If your divine masculine is running the show and there's too much of this energy, it can fall into your unhealthy masculine. And ladies, let's be honest, we live in a masculine dominated world. Like, so many of us are going to relate to being in our unhealthy masculine. We're always doing. You have so much responsibility on your shoulders. It's very likely. And when we operate from this space, when we operate from the unhealthy masculine, this is where we have that emotional detachment. It's where you may have led to burnout. It's where you may have been trying to control a situation so much because your inner man doesn't feel safe and he's trying to control everything. Like, that is likely what is happening here. And it's quite often when we think of masculine, we may think of like a man who's angry and frustrated. That is not the divine masculine. That is your unhealthy masculine. So it's literally a case of meeting him. It's a case of meeting your inner man. How often is he in your life? How often is he running the show? And something fun that you can do here, give him a name, give him a face. Like, what does your inner man actually look like? And when we're looking at the divine masculine in a relationship, a good example is maybe the divine masculine, your man, or maybe you're with a woman, her inner man creates a safe space for your inner woman to share her emotions. That is such a good example, something me and my partner are always working on in our relationship. How can we create a safe container for the feminine to share and flow through with her emotions? But also, how often are you doing this for yourself internally? How often is your inner man giving your inner woman the space to flow, to be in her greatness, in her power, in her juiciness, in her, fierceness, in her emotions? How often is your inner man allowing your inner woman to do that? So again, this is totally a internal energy thing, but it can also be mirrored in your relationship. So it's very, very interesting to look at. So step 1, meet your inner man, give him a name, listen to him. Is he in his healthy masculine? Is he in his divine masculine? Is he in his unhealthy masculine? Really getting to know him, because it's so easy to say, yeah, I'm in my masculine a lot. But how does he look? How does he feel? How often is he controlling your actions? So once you've done this, you can then meet your inner woman. So your inner woman brings the energy, right? So we spoke about our inner man, creating the foundations, building the bricks for your house. What's your inner woman going to do? She's going to come in and she's going to bring her energy. She's going to let the emotions flow. And she can change, right? She flows. She can bring her intuition to be like, that furry rug that I bought in, actually, I don't want it anymore. I'm going to put in a leopard print rug. She can bring and feel the energy and be there and just let it flow, because she uses her intuition to know what to put in the house. And she's unapologetic. She is creative. She is sensual. She dances, she sings, she paints on the walls, and her inner man doesn't care, because he has created that space for her to do whatever she needs. And yeah, your inner woman, she's a goddess. She's powerful, and she's very much in her being as opposed to always doing. And again, this is how we know that we're not too far, but we're operating from our masculine all the time, because we're always doing and we're not necessarily being. And when our inner man has created that structure and that safe container for our feminine to flow, we can surrender control, because we know that we've done everything that we need to do. And it's interesting, a lot of this energy, a lot of our feminine energy is held in the womb. And I was having a really, really interesting conversation with a friend the other day, and I had this light bulb moment because we were talking about UTIs, and I realised that I used to get UTI every month, pre-healing journey. It was the worst thing ever. I was on antibiotics all the time. It was just an absolute shit show. I didn't know how to make it stop, but of course I just wasn't listening to my body. But now I understand the feminine, how the energy works. I know what was happening was my feminine energy was so trapped in my womb. She wasn't being listened to. She didn't have a voice, a space to be creative, to be in her flow. And that was 100% the reason why I was you can go away and implement today that we have discussed. The first is creating that dialogue between your inner man and your inner woman. Asking how can they help one another? How can he help her? Who is running the show? Who can take a back seat so the other one can just be there? This has been life-changing for me, is being able to listen to my inner man and my inner woman. This is what actually brought me. I worked for a startup that did home-based urine tests for UTI, if you're interested, for you or your followers. Oh, well, there you go. Mena Chema Forma, who is listening, worked for a startup that did home-based urine tests for UTIs. I actually no longer get them, so this is like an amazing part of the healing journey, is so many of my physical issues. As soon as I started working on my emotional energy, releasing blockages, so many of my physical issues just completely disappeared. I mean, I was in hospital countless times. I can't even name how many times I was in hospital. And now, touch wood, I'm a happy, healthy girl. So I currently do not need UTI things, but if someone does, yeah, please reach out to this lovely gentleman here who has commented. Anyway, so step one, meeting your inner man, your inner woman. When I listened to my inner woman, she didn't feel heard. She didn't feel like she had a space. She wanted to know how to express herself, which was the whole reason that I did this teacher training. So it's a super powerful tool to listen to all of those different parts of yourself. The second thing you can do to help with your divine feminine, to help her flow more, is asking your man first, how can he create this container so that the feminine can flow? So a few examples, maybe your inner man creates a plan for the day. This is the structure, and this is what we're going to do within all of these different hours. He can also create a list of feminine activities, massage, dancing, swimming, singing, like whatever it is. When you are in that feminine time that your man has planned for you, pick something from that list and just let it flow. Be in that creativity, and you may be surprised what comes up and what moves through you. Maybe for 3 hours on a Sunday, that is your flow time. Maybe your inner man cleans the space, cleans your bedroom, creates a beautiful sanctuary, puts candles there, makes it clean and beautiful and tidy, so that there is space for your inner woman to put oil on herself and massage herself. Maybe your inner man creates that container and that space for your inner woman to consciously cry. This is life-changing. Conscious crying is the best thing ever. So often we're told to not cry and to hold it all back. But really, when we create that space to move that emotional energy of crying, you'll feel like a whole different person afterwards. But it does take your inner man saying, within this hour, I'm going to create a beautiful, safe space for myself to cry, right? With great example, without your inner man, if I'm just like crying left, right and center, and my feminine is just like flowing through all the time, and she's chaotic and she doesn't have that safe container to cry, she's just going to feel less and less safe. So this is a great example. Conscious crying, you need to give it a go, where your inner man can look after your inner woman. So I really challenge you today to have those conversations, have those internal conversations with your inner man and your inner woman, seeing how he can hold her and putting something practical in place. Doing something today. I double donkey dare you. Can you do something? Can you do something so that your inner man can hold and love and look after your inner woman? So I've been rambling on enough for now. I've just got so much to share on the divine masculine, the divine feminine. It's going to be very important to get to my announcement. We have a check-in. I'm going to move. Okay, we're going to move. We almost got to the end of the live. Hello. Thank you, sir. There you go, lovely people here. Okay. I probably needed a bit of a break there anyway. And now we've got a beautiful butterfly in the background for the announcement. So the announcement is, drum roll, I will be adding elements of the divine masculine and the divine feminine into the emotional empowerment method, which is launching on April 1st. So exciting. So the emotional empowerment method is for those, if you've not heard of it, have you been under a rock? It is for those that want to reconnect back with themselves. It's for those women who have built an incredible life that they love. Maybe you've got a nice house, a nice car, a nice family, but you still feel like you're on this emotional roller coaster. You still feel like you get these triggers and you're not entirely sure how to navigate them, and you want to fall back in love with your life again because you work so freaking hard for it, and you deserve to fall in love with life. Everyone does. So that we can show up as our best selves. You know, when we learn how to navigate emotional energy, how to feel safe in all of life's challenges, we can literally achieve anything. Like, it's so cool. It's so cool what this work can help you get to, how it can help you navigate work, your business in such an enlightened way, navigate your relationships from a place of calm, from a place of confidence. I mean, if we were going to name all of the benefits from the emotional empowerment method, we would be here all night. But what is in it? So we have 3 modules. Module 1 is about your nervous system. It is a nervous system reboot, not regulation, because I do not believe in being regulated 24/7, but it's about feeling safe in your body, right? With so much of the time we're in our mind, and it's like having a boiling pot on high heat and the lid on. So it's about feeling safe in your body. That is what we're learning in Module 1, exploring the depths of your automated responses and learning that all states are welcome and all states are necessary. Module 2 is, once you feel safe in your body, you can then learn how to be a funnel, how to transmute emotional energy. So as we get through the emotional empowerment method, it does get a little bit more spiritual, but there's a lot of science in it too. But as we get to module 2, it's about learning how to navigate emotions in that moment of trigger. Maybe you like have a think back to the time where you were last triggered. That was your emotional energy driving the show and creating your thoughts, creating your behaviors, creating your reality. Once you learn how to shift the energy within your inner world, your outer world changes because you're changing your vibration. This is all a real thing, and it's amazing and it's life-changing. So module 1, reboot your nervous system. Module 2, emotional mastery. And now module 3, we will be diving more into the masculine and the feminine. So I've spoken about it a little bit today, but yeah, if you have been struggling with being in your masculine in your life, if you feel like you're always trying to control, if you struggle to surrender, we are all about surrender, baby. We are all about being in the flow and being able to follow the signs, trust in the flow of life. And oh God, it's such a relief. I was going to say it's such a relief when you get there, but we're never there, right? Life is a constant healing journey, but you are given the tools so that you know exactly what to do in the moment of trigger, in these spaces where your inner man is running the show. And yeah, I think that's it. That is the announcement. We will be implementing the divine masculine and the divine feminine into the emotional empowerment method. We have 9 women in. If you're not in yet, you need to get in. DM me, comment, EEM if you've got this far, and I will send you all of the details for this life-changing healing journey. We're on a healing journey anyway, so we can do it in a conscious way. And what's the final thing I wanted to say? Oh, we will also be giving a little element of divine masculine and feminine within our free half-day healing event. I'm so excited for it. I said this live wouldn't be chaotic, but I'm getting more and more chaotic as we go through, because I get really excited talking about this sort of stuff. Yes, we will be having an element of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within Empowered AF, which is your free half-day healing journey. It's 3 hours. It'll be available on repeat. There's going to be so much juice in there. I really want healing to be available to everyone. I want it to be available to everyone. So this event is something that's really, really important, that aligns with my values and how I want to show up in the world and to help people. And as I start planning it, I'm putting so much in. I'm giving you the tools, I'm giving you the basics that you need to help navigate life through that lightness, to create capacity to give and receive love. So yeah, think of the Empowered AF, the free half-day healing. It's like a very valuable taster for free. So if you want that, comment heal below, and you will get the details. So I think that's everything from me. If you do anything today, if you've got anything from this, if you've made it this far, thank you for being here. You are doing a good thing. When you show up and heal in your life, in your journey, it ripples out into the world. You are doing an amazing thing for the world. Healing is the most selfless thing that you can ever do. So many of my clients, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, just want one more thing. So many of my clients, no, I'm not going to apologize for that actually. This is valuable information. So many of my clients, when they do the healing work, they get comments from their colleagues, from their husbands, from their family, saying, wow, you've really inspired me. You've really inspired me to see the world through a brighter lens. You've really inspired me to heal. And that is so rewarding. A lot of my clients have also been teachers, and then they're teaching kids, the future generation, to break all of these generational curses. And there's just nothing more beautiful than that. But anyway, if there's one thing you take away, three things. Firstly, if you're not in the emotional empowerment method, comment EEM. I will send you all of the details if you want to start your healing journey today, if you want to start a deeper healing journey, supported by me, supported by a beautiful group of women. There's already 9 in. It's an incredible container. Number 2, if you've not signed up to Empowered AF, the free half-day healing, it's taking place on March the 16th. There will be a replay available. Comment HEAL if you want to come to that. It's free. It's totally free. There's only something to gain, there's nothing to lose. Finally, if you take anything away from today, please have a conversation between your inner man and your inner woman. Give them love, give each other love, give them a name, give them a face, and do something off the back of this time that you've invested today. And if that is putting on some candles and having a self-massage, if that is consciously crying, whatever it is, if that's making a list of how to make your feminine feel free to be in her flow, do that. Anyway, that is it from me today. I love you all so much, and yeah, bye.